All right. Well, here's his moral argument. Here's where he gets into his what he would present as proof in a general overarching way on what he would, I think, value as the preeminent one that he would present. So the traditional theistic arguments have sometimes focused on causality, and sometimes on purpose and or design, and sometimes on ontology. That is the nature of being in general. More recently, various arguments that focus on moral values have emerged. He says that his argument is of the latter source. At least that is how it begins. Is he's going to focus on this moral claim of moral values actually existing, and finding out therefore what.
Right, exactly. So he calls this the moral argument. So he's going to give us a moral argument for the existence of God. And so he begins by kind of clearing the way here, and he's going to look at, how folks attempt to determine what morality is, or the source of morality. He's going to give us several attempts at coming up with the source of morality, and he's going to try to show that those sources are wrong. And then he's going to show that obviously God is the source of morality. So that's, as you said earlier, morality, therefore God, right? That's what he's getting at. So he asks the question, what are moral values and how can we come to know them? He says some have argued that although right and wrong cannot be directly seen or heard, they do arise from experience. So here's the first kind of source of morality. Comes from our experience of the world, right? Well, he's David Hume. He tells us. So this is David Hume was wrote in the 1700s, a Scottish philosopher. Extremely influential, as we probably know, in the history of ideas and in philosophy. Hume points out that X brings good consequences, though. And this is the point that Hume makes here, does not logically imply that X is morally good. Just because, something is the case, is what we're going to see here, doesn't mean that it ought to be the case. Or just because something brings about good consequences, does not logically imply that is morally good. Statements about facts, he says, and cannot entail any conclusions about morality. Valueless facts do not imply values, does not imply ought. So this is Hume's famous, is ought fallacy, right? That values, you can't get an ought from an is. Just because something is the case doesn't tell us anything about what ought to be the case, right? So this is the is ought fallacy that Hume made famous, actually, in his discussion with regard to morality. And so is our experience of the world, the facts in the world, is that the source of morality? Well, he's suggesting that Hume is saying, no, that's not. We can't get morality from facts in the world. We can't get an ought from an is. That's the issue that he brings up. So experience doesn't seem like it's the source of morality.
Right. If I take a baseball and I throw it at a brick wall of a store and it bounces and catches it, well, that's a lot of fun. I move over the glass pane and realize, if I throw it at this glass window, it won't bounce to me as well. In fact, it'll go through the window. That's a thing that happens. But should I be doing it? That's where the experience of that glass breaking or potential glass breaking doesn't tell me if I should even be throwing the ball at something that's not my property. And so we're unable to get that. Don't throw the ball at the glass because it's not yours is morally good. And so
in other words, we can see that if we throw the ball, it'll break the glass. We can experience that, but we don't experience the wrongness of it. Right? We don't really experience that. Right. So all we can see is the activity of the ball being thrown and the glass being broken. And of course, we know that the glass isn't mine, and so. But we don't see the wrongness of it. We don't see the evil in it. We don't see, how that is immoral some kind of way. Right. And that's basically the kind of thing that Hume is getting at. Right?
Yeah, there's no facts. Yeah. There's no I'm doing an experiment ability before the court where you got to pay it back.